Hey guys, Tom Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, and welcome to my review of Dark Phoenix. So, this is of course another X-Men movie, and this one's definitely a weird one, considering that we've had the Dark Phoenix appear before in X-Men 3. And I think they were trying to reboot that whole story while also trying to, at the end of this movie, trying to say that this is also somehow part of the same universe. Um, so yeah, the timeline of X-Men is getting really confusing, and this is after the time travel movie, so that's saying a lot considering. Um, and I think this is the first movie where I'm really starting to notice, and maybe I should have been noticing this sooner, is that I don't think death means anything anymore in these movies, in these superhero movies, and I think it's starting to spread. Um, so yeah, spoiler review of The Dark Phoenix. If if you want to avoid spoilers, this will be a spoiler review. Um, so, anyways, we start off in Jean's childhood. Our lead, or one of our leads, I should say. Um, as she's in her car with her family, and she's politely asking to, or just asking to change the radio station. She proceeds to do so, hearing some sort of weird voice in her head afterwards or during her little power surge. Um, and this already indicates that apparently the Dark Phoenix Force, or whatever you want to call it, was calling out to her ever since she was a child. I'm not sure how that lines up with the previous movie. Again, it's been a while since I've seen X-Men 3, and I also don't know how that lines up with the comics. I don't know if this is its own thing. What I do know for sure is that the car crashes, and what we first see is that she assumes that they're both dead. So she gets picked up by Charles, who uses a simple pen as a tool metaphor. He says that you could either use the pen as a gift, or you could stab someone's eye out, as he actually says. It all depends on how you use it. So, using a pretty simple object to create a pretty powerful metaphor. Okay, that's pretty good stuff. Um, so we cut to later in her story when she's like a teenager. I want to loosely teenager, or closer to adult age, I suppose. Um, so she's already with Cyclops, and the rest of the team hear on the news that there's some sort of catastrophe up in the space. So, the X-Men are called by the President himself to go up into space, so they do so. They send out a squad. They send up Raven, or Mystique. I think they just call her Raven in this movie for whatever reason. Storm, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Quicksilver, Beast, and Jean herself, and I think that was all the team members that went up there. If I forget anyone, I do apologize. I don't have my notes up today. I want to avoid as much lag as possible. If you want to help me prevent that, please consider supporting my Patreon so I can get another laptop so that I can have my notes separate on a separate computer. Other than that, getting back to the movie, so they find the ship out there, and it's spinning out of control. So Raven, sort of, delegates for what people to do. They do the thing that they are appointed to do. And when she thinks the situation is getting too rough, she wants to go back, but the But Charles and Jean, mostly Charles, wants to proceed and save the remaining people, so they do so. And Jean is the one that like focuses on like keeping the ship still, while Nightcrawler like teleports people back. I'm not sure why they wouldn't send Quicksilver back there as well. I mean, he is the Quickster, so already a few issues with the team you brought. You had a guy who can move super fast. I'm not sure why you wouldn't just bring him back there. Probably could have avoided this whole movie from happening if you just send Quicksilver back again. But whatever. So yeah, they send Nightcrawler, and so how they set this up is that Jean's on one side after rescuing, or like holding the ship. Nightcrawler's on the other side of the ship rescuing this other guy, and the Dark Phoenix Force is out there and it's moving towards her. And Nightcrawler sees this and he gets like touched by it for like a second, but then he like teleports away, and Jean takes the rest of it. Full force. And it all goes into her, so now the Phoenix Force is inside of her. So they head back, and Charles has Hank. Oh, I think, yeah, that's the guy I forgot. Beast was with them. If I forgot to mention Beast, he was also with them. But Hank proceeded to check her out. Says that her power level is off the charts, kind of literally. I should have just said literally, but whatever. And things seem fine, and everyone's celebrating, and people are like fans of the X-Men, and it's sort of getting to that point. And Raven, and probably one of the more baffling lines in the movie, and it's one of those moments again where I have to talk about this whole female empowerment thing. And she literally says that, oh, you know, it's us women that saved the men, and we should rename the X-Men the X-Women. I'm just like, you know, why do you keep doing it, writers? Why do you keep forcing this bullshit in the movies? I don't understand. I don't understand. What are you doing? What are you doing, movie? What are you doing? First of all, I don't know if the writer knew this, but X-Men, that phrase, there was a point in time in history, I don't know if you knew this, writer, that men, M-E-N, yes, did technically could refer to men and women, plural. That is a thing that used to be. That's why X-Men was the name. But, yeah, sure, you delegated Raven, but here's the thing, the other team members, that you sent in, they did the work too, so why are you pushing them aside? Why are you just saying, oh, Nightcrawler didn't save Jean? Come on! He was the last one in there with her. And she would have just been left behind in the space. I mean, I'm pretty sure with her new powers, she probably would have survived, but they didn't know that. I am never a fan of just saying all women are super. It's like, and it would have been just as stupid if it was the other way around. Yep, I'm gonna go that route. Oh, it's so stupid. You have your third act to prove that they are equal. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of the X-Men, is that it's all about equality, not just of, you know, if you want to have it as a representation of, like, equal rights of, like, gays not being equal to straight people, like, or for example, you know, you show that. You don't tell people that. You show them. That's the better way to do it. The same thing with gender. It's about gender equality. It's not about one gender being better than the other. That's not the point. The person who wrote that line does not understand the point of the X-Men. It's like, you missed the point. And I really hate when people miss the point when they're trying to push these agendas. It's like, you do realize what the whole point of the X-Men is, right? Like, it's about equality. I think a lot of people forget what that word actually means these days. Equality. It's a very nice, underestimated word, I feel. Anyway, moving along past that point, so Jean was saved by the crew, mainly Nightcrawler. And people are celebrating, parties are happening, and we are introduced to this other force of people, or aliens. I'm just gonna call them aliens because they didn't give them a specific name, so I'm just gonna have to call them aliens because I don't know what else I'm supposed to call them. Thanks a lot for that, movie. So these aliens kind of, we see like a little three-pronged flash head out, and these people are taken over, kind of like in the Captain Marvel, the Kree or whatever they were called, and they're sent out and they take over these people, and these new alien life forms are grouping up and talking about how they're gonna take over or whatever, and they primarily want to find the Phoenix Force, and they know that, or they figure out that it is in Jean indeed. So after that, the X-Men are also having their own celebration, and everyone's having a good old time. And Jean's having her moment with Cyclops. And she starts to freak out. Get her power levels once again elevate, and she pushes people away. And she sort of just leaves. So they're trying to, Charles is like trying to help her. And I forget from what it means, but she eventually figures out that her father is alive out there somewhere, so she decides to go home. And from there, the rest of the X-Men, Charles himself wants to go, and so they go out and they get to her. She has a talk with her father, who's all like, you were the one responsible for for your mother's death. I thought you were a lost cause, so I just gave you away to Charles, etc., etc. And so Jean's more upset. It only got her more upset as Charles was assuming, because he did his own fucked up thing of like blocking part of her memory, but he did it out of protection. So it's like one of those things where you did the wrong thing for the right reason. Jean gets a little overpowered, and Raven makes her way forward, trying to talk her out of it. And this is where I was talking about in the spoiler. I mentioned this in the spoilers, where the timeline, it feels like it makes no more sense, because Raven ends up biting it, getting killed by Jean, which, again, if she is Mystique, she was alive, so that's a thing that happens, and it just makes me go, what? What is this timeline? What is happening? Okay, but whatever. So yeah, she dies, and Jean freaks out more, so she heads off, after blasting some cops too. And the other X-Men try to get to her too, and then they also fail, and Mystique / Raven was one of the last of them to get up there. So she heads off, and she goes off to find Magneto, which she does, and she tries to explain that she lost control of her powers without spilling the truth bomb that she's the one that killed Raven or slash Mystique. Um, but her powers get unleashed when the military arrive, and they're on the search for her because she also killed those cops. Um, so they stop her, or they attempt to stop her, and then she stops them. And then uh, Magneto sends him off. Um, and then tells her to just leave because he doesn't want any of his mutants on his island or wherever he is to get hurt. So she goes off, and meanwhile we see that those alien creatures are getting to the father at this point and maintaining more information. So she goes off and hides as the news is all oh, just Jean is very dangerous, etc., etc. So she hides in this bar, hiding her identity, but the aliens find her, or at least one of them does, this white-haired alien woman. So, this creature talks about how, as I mentioned earlier, how the Phoenix Force found her, was searching for her, told her that she was more built for something better, something beyond Earth, but you had to destroy Earth in the process. Very reminiscent of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So there's that there's that morality popping up again. But at least this has the audacity to put amnesia in front of everything, even though it's another cliche or trope or whatever you want to say. And there's a hint it also feels like there's hints of Captain Marvel in here as well, with the whole empowerment thing and the whole anyway. So she convinces Jean to go with her to their place where they meet a bunch of other aliens, and Magneto, who is joined by Beast at this point and his other mutants. They head off to essentially kill Jean for killing Raven because Beast told them about that, because Beast got angry at Charles for doing everything that he did. And the whole Beast and Charles thing is something that is technically more accurate from something I've come to learn. I didn't know that before, but that has happened before apparently. Magneto squad heads in there, and then the X-Men also join in on the fray. And a big old third act fight breaks out where everyone gets to display their powers. The whole equality thing I mentioned, it's all fine at this point. Everyone's doing their thing. It all looks cool, etc., etc. It's just a fun old time, and everyone's trying to get to Jean, and everyone wants different things. Magneto wants to kill her, Charles wants to save her, and the two sides are competing just to get to her. Magneto does technically get in there first, but Jean's so powerful that she's able to crush his helmet and just blast him away. And the others try to get in there, and while they're all doing their things, the cops / military are also making their way there. So the military get in there and they start pinning down all the X-Men. Meanwhile, Charles has his moment where where Jean makes him go all the way up the stairs by forcing him to, and he says to look into her mind, into his mind, I should say, and look into the whole, like, oh, remember that thing in the beginning of the movie with the pen and all the times I helped you and all that stuff? That was good. You were in control then. You can still be in control now. And that does sort of work for at least a moment. So Jean starts to give her power away to this alien chick. And then it starts to, like, kill her on top of that. So, but the military arrive after some stuff, after Cyclops blasts the alien away, and then the cops knock out the rest of them. So they're all knocked out. They all brought into this train where they're being moved to wherever. And the alien forces are also moving in because the alien chick didn't get all the powers, so she wants all of it. So she proceeds to move with the other aliens to move, and then even more fights happen, but now all the X-Men and Magneto's squad are united, all to protect Jean as the alien creatures fight in, and it's a big old fight as the X-Men are released from their shackles. And again, everyone has a badass moment. This third act, again, is totally fine on its own. But what it takes to get there is a little bit confusing, and the timeline, again, is a little bit wonky. And the whole empowerment thing is just unnecessary. Boy, oh boy, the first two acts needed a whole lot of writing, editing, in terms of that, but besides that, the third act, as I mentioned, is fine. So after a whole bunch of badassery and everyone kicking butts in their own respect, Jean once again comes face to face with all the aliens. She's just, like, blasting them away with her mind powers, and then she comes face to face with the main alien, and she proceeds to, like, give her so much power that she just blows up. Although earlier there was an indication that she had the ability to almost take away the other mutants, or specifically Cyclops, but I guess she just made enough distance where that didn't matter anymore, I guess. That part was a little bit confusing, but I guess it makes sense. I'm a little bit on the fence on that one, but whatever. So Jean does her power surge thing, and then she, like, goes off and wherever. This is assumed, but it's assumed by Cyclops that Jean is dead, so they have another memorial there. We see that Beast is now in control of the X-Men school. We see that Charles is taking up retirement and that he's called by Magneto, and they try to shoehorn in that this was somehow a prelude to the other X-Men movies where they did their little chess thing, which again makes zero sense. But whatever. And yeah, it's about it. That was the Dark Phoenix. Oh boy. So third act was fun, but getting there, getting there was rough. Definitely needed a lot more revising in terms of how they wanted to get to that point. And again, it is a little bit confusing since we've seen the Dark Phoenix before, but I guess they just wanted to dedicate an entire movie to it. So I don't know about anyone else, but I think I'm starting to face X-Men fatigue. And this is coming from somebody who wrote their own book inspired by the X-Men. My book, of course, is called Syndicate X, and yeah. I think I'm facing X-Men fatigue. I feel like they've gotten plenty of movies now, and I honestly do think it's time to give new superheroes a chance. I have been saying this for a long time now that I think we need to give new superheroes a chance, and I've been trying to fight for that opportunity to give Syndicate X their own chance at a chance to say adapted into a movie or something, even though Syndicate X is like the worst grammatically put together book, and I'm trying to republish it now. But I still think it is still deserving of a chance at an adaptation at some point. I feel like we need a new group of superheroes. I have wanted that ever since I was a kid. That's when I first started writing Syndicate X. And I want to fight for that opportunity, and it's really tough when no one gives your thing a chance, and I feel like that underdog. I feel like I felt like that for a really long time, and just getting a chance to have an opportunity to show how my group of heroes comes about, and starting a fresh story. I think it is about time to do that. And I have real respect for the X-Men. I really do, obviously. And again, I think I'm just facing X-Men fatigue at this point. We have had plenty of X-Men movies at this point. So, yeah, I think it's time. As far as a score, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. That 4 primarily comes from the third act, except for that last little bit, which is really confusing, but yeah, what it took to get there, a lot of that could have easily been revised to just be all really good. And that would have fixed the whole movie. Like, there you go. Easy solutions to easy problems. But more importantly, again, I feel like we've had plenty of X-Men now in the movies. I think it's time to give a new group of superheroes a chance. And I want to keep pushing Syndicate X as much as possible. So in the description, I will put the bad book in the description. You can go ahead and check that out if you want to. Again, I'm gonna republish it. I don't know when, but I am gonna do it at some point. So that is my review of the Dark Phoenix. I don't know where. I'm pretty sure if this makes the money out, they'll probably just make another X-Men movie, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, come on. Give someone new a chance here. Seriously. Anyways, that's my review. If you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.